Hello, my name is Timothy Valverde and welcome to the 1% podcast. I hope you're doing well, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify. I am so excited because I have my beautiful wife, Sonia, here with me. My beautiful wife of 15 years. And I asked her to come on and talk. She is very present behind the scenes, but she's not present in front of the camera. And it's kind of just by choice, by life, but she's the biggest part of my life other than God and my children. And so I wanted to make sure that she's part of this story and part of this journey. So I've asked her to be part of the 1% podcast. And she said, yes. Are you charging me?
A little bit.
She's charging me. But we're going to talk a little bit about life, marriage, and obviously we want to talk about Hunt and the story and how that's affected us. So I think this can be a great blessing to you. So babe, why don't you say hi and tell people where you're from?
Hi, my name is...
Tell me. We'll talk and then we can look at the camera tomorrow.
So you know my name. My name is Sonia. Mm-hmm. I was born and raised in Los Angeles.
Okay.
In the hood.
In the hood. So my wife, she doesn't look like it, but she has a little bit of toughness in her. I don't want to say the word gangster. No, you don't like that word.
No.
But she's tough. She's beautiful and kind and gracious, but she's not to be messed with. Okay. Right. What hospital were you born in?
I was born in the Martin Luther King Hospital.
Was Sam, my brother-in-law, born there?
I think so.
I think he was born there as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Okay. How did we come into each other's lives?
We were 8 years old, and our family moved from Los Angeles to Fontana. Mm-hmm. My parents purchased a home in Southridge.
Southridge is an area in Fontana, in the Inland Empire where we live.
And a funny story, my mom was at a laundromat and she saw that there was going to be this famous group at your dad's church. Mm-hmm. So she grabbed the flyer. Yes. Uh-huh. She grabbed the flyer and we attended church on a Sunday and we never left. And so we met when we were 8, but you didn't talk to me.
Okay, yeah, okay. Why are you saying that? We said you're not going to say that, and she says it. Okay, so you've been coming to our church, my dad's church, since you were 8 years old.
8 years old.
Okay. Really quickly, just talk about mom, dad, brother, and sister. Yours.
I have an older brother, a younger sister. I'm the middle, and my parents have been married for over 40 years. My brother lives in Utah. I have a sister who has a master's degree.
She's so beautiful and intelligent.
She is a therapist, and we're so proud of her. And we come from a very humble family, very quiet. Used to be very quiet until I married
you're not quiet
into the
anymore.
Valverdes, and then everything changed.
Okay, Diana, your younger sister,
yes,
looks exactly like Emma, or Emma looks exactly like her.
Yes, replica.
Beautiful, amazing, smart.
Right.
Okay. All right, so let's just share with people where we obviously came to our church and then we met at church. We started working together in the youth ministry.
Right.
And then in 2007, I think I asked you out on a date?
Correct. You took me to Benihana's.
Okay. We don't have to go into too many details, okay? But all right, I took you to Benihana's.
Took me to Benihana's.
And then we hung out and then we started getting serious, right?
Correct.
And then I asked you to marry me when?
In 2008. December of 2008.
December of 2008. Okay, I remember. I remember that I was in the stage of my life where I was coming out of, I think, being immature. And my prayer was, Lord, I just need the right woman for the calling that you've given me, even though I didn't know fully what the calling was.
Right.
But I do recall saying, okay, God, I need a certain woman. And I was like, ugh, I just didn't know. I just knew I needed something. I felt like I needed something, a certain type of woman. And so I began to pray for that. And then I think one day I saw you and I was like, wow, she looks really pretty. So then I asked you out on a date. Right. And we got engaged and then we got married when?
May of 2009.
So how long have we been married?
It's going to be 15 years.
Okay, so right before the camera started, Paul knows, we were saying 14 years, but it's like 15 years.
15 years.
And then before we just start getting into just how life has changed for us, where did I promise I would take you?
On our 10-year anniversary, he promised me to go to Bora Bora.
And I haven't taken you yet,
The
right?
closest we've been to Bora Bora is maybe Cancun.
Yeah, we went to Cancun, right? I'll take you next year. You know why. I'll take you next year.
Okay.
So with kids or no kids?
We'll talk about that off camera.
Okay, I prefer that we don't take the kids, but anyhow. Right. Okay, so we get married And I think the first few years of our marriage were amazing, right? Anything that stands out to you?
You were just always very busy in ministry. But I understood that marrying you, I knew that you had a calling over your life. So I went prepared knowing that it was going to be a lot of work. And it was going to be a lot of kingdom work.
Did you think that we would be pastors? That I would be a pastor and that you would be my wife?
Yes. I knew you'd be a pastor.
Okay. Is it because who my dad is?
No, I saw it in you. Even as when you would be the youth director, you had a lot of zeal, a lot of passion. And I could see that God was working in areas of your life to prepare you for something. So.
Okay. So I think the first few marriages, we had like nothing crazy, right? Like no major fights.
No.
It was just adjusting. Am I hard to live with? A little bit?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, you're not. You're very easy to live with. You're a very easygoing woman. I love you.
Oh,
okay.
Me too.
Okay, so we kind of go through life. I think our first 10 years are just finding each other, just experiencing things. We had some big things happen within my family.
Right.
In 2013, just big things with my dad and just things that like I think are life-changing.
Right.
Do you remember any of that? Obviously you do, but anything that stands out?
Just Maddie coming into our lives.
Okay.
We had our first baby and.
Okay, what about with everything that happened with my dad? I didn't even realize I didn't even think I was going to talk about this, but I feel like I should. Everything that happened with my dad and us leaving and starting a new vision. Do you remember how life was like with our family and what we would talk about and do and things?
Yeah, it was a very, it was almost like this solemn moment of what was happening because we were raised and born into this, just that movement, if I could say that word.
Sure.
And almost like a shock of, okay, now what do? You're going to step out from that and do what? And so I'm thankful that your father's a very prayerful man, and he sought the Lord in every aspect of that decision. And I think it rocked the family a little bit, but
it was. There was some. I remember going to my parents' house, and we didn't have kids yet.
No.
So I remember, a lot of praying, a lot of talking, a lot of pondering, wondering,
right.
Thinking what could we have done, thinking what is the next move. And for those of you who, I can't assume that all of you know who we are, know our story is. I know for a fact that we don't. We started a vision within my father's church. It's called Every Heart Healed. That's the vision that God has given us. And about, how long has it been now? 7 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. My father we launched out of an organization and began our own organization, which in many terms people can look at it different ways, but we were very prayerful. We try to do everything with peace and love and joy, and it doesn't always turn out that way, but that's what we're referring to. And I think it's important that we talk about it because it impacted our life. It really did, and it guided us a little bit to where we are now.
Right.
Okay, so fast forward to that. Obviously, we're not going to tell you our whole life story. I don't think that's for now. But then San Diego, when we launched the church. So it's 2018. I feel a burden to launch a church. I come tell you, hey babe, we live in the Inland Empire. San Diego is 95 miles away from us. And I feel God calling us to go pastor a church in San Diego. What do you remember about that?
I remember you approached me with it. I know that we had Hunt and that we had our 3 kids. And Hunt wasn't diagnosed yet.
He
right?
was.
He was?
He was. He got diagnosed in
May.
In May of 2018.
Right.
And then we were launched in January of 2019.
Okay. But the initial start of San Diego campus.
Yeah.
So it was very. I don't want to make it seem like it wasn't a tough decision, but I knew that God was behind all of it. So that gave me a sense of comfort of like, hey, like I'm going to be with you. I'm allowing this. I'm opening this door. So walk through it. And but we went from living, 15 miles from church to living
95 miles,
95 miles with 2 small kids, a sick child going through treatments in LA. So it just, it didn't make sense on paper, or it didn't make sense for the average person, but somehow that it's in God's eyes and in God's plan, it made sense.
Okay. So we start getting launched at the same time, or a few months before, Hunt gets diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
Okay. So you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about that. We're launching a documentary that we'll be launching here soon on YouTube, where we go into more depth about what we felt, when we felt, how it happened, and things like that. But what do you remember about that? Just launching the church, Hunt being sick, chemo treatments. The irony is that we're there again right now as we speak. We're the day of this recording. Hunt is in chemo treatments again. What do you remember about all that? Like tears? Were you strong? Like what did you feel?
It was a very shocking moment in our lives. I think that you always hear of parents that have kids with cancer, but you never expect it to be your child or your story. But it was a very difficult time, and it just, a part of me wanted life to just stop. I don't know if you thought the same thing. You almost want it to stop because it's very painful, and you don't want to experience the next step or a week. It's the future is so unpredictable. And so,
okay, so I would ask you this. I agree with that. I agree with that. But when we got hit with the news about Hunt, I personally said, we're going to plow through this.
Right.
Like you saw me like in anguish. You saw me, right? I saw you very strong. Like as I look back at the last 6 years, I saw you just very strong, very prayerful. I mean, obviously just loving, and I mean, just what a mother should be. But what was your attitude? Was your attitude like, we're going to plow through this, or we need to stop? Or were you like, why are we launching a church so far away as our son is, as we're visiting the hospital 2 or 3 times a week?
Right.
Like, do you remember how you felt with that, or do you remember that process?
I do. I felt like, I think as a mother, the mother of you wants just life to stop. But I think that I understood that we couldn't stop, and we weren't going to stop regardless of what was happening with Hunt. And it almost gave us fuel to keep going, say, okay, we are going through this very difficult situation. And as much as I wanted to just push pause, I knew that it had to keep going.
Were you ever, we never talked about this. We're talking about this for the first time right here. Were you ever wondering, why are we doing this now?
I did ask, yeah. I asked the Lord.
But you never asked me.
No. Because in a sense, I understood the assignment you had, Hunt. Like, I understood. We had, yes. But during that time, I think you were more present with church, and I was more at home with the kids because we couldn't take them out a lot. So I understood, as difficult as that was, I think that God had prepared me personally as your wife to understand that assignment. And like I said, as much as I wanted to just stop, and it was overwhelming, and it didn't make any sense. Like like when we tell people the story, it's like, sense. Why did you go to San Diego? What, like, it doesn't make sense. We're like, I understand, but sometimes God's plans don't make any sense.
They don't.
They don't.
You know, I don't do it anymore, but I used to say that I was so proud that when Hunt was going through chemo, remember, we got to this house, right? We bought this house, and then we remodeled it. Everything, the floor, the paint, we remodeled everything. Remember that?
Right.
At the same time, our vision, my dad's vision, is changing literally all within the same week or two, and Hunt gets diagnosed.
Right.
So we buy a new house, we remodel the new house, Hunt gets diagnosed, and we're making a huge life change all in the same 2 weeks, March to April of 2018.
Yeah.
But I always used to say, I was so proud that I never missed a Sunday in church in all of 2018 and 2019. I used to think, man, I never missed one Sunday, everything that I was going through. And that's like right now, that's not a trophy that I'm proud of.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, okay, so that I leave my wife and my kids like all day Sundays, and like I'm proud of that. So my perspective, I think is, and I think I've grown, I've changed there. What do you think?
You have.
Yeah?
Yeah. You're a very present father.
I'm a good father, right?
You are.
Tell the people, babe. Tell the people.
He's a good dad.
He's a good. Okay, so Hunt. Let's talk Hunt for a minute. How are you feeling right now? We're a week away from his second chemo treatment.
It's
there, huh?
It's there. It's like a pit in your stomach that
doesn't go away.
Doesn't go away.
What is for you? What is the hardest part? I say it all the time. For me, it's when he starts looking sick, when he starts losing his hair, which hopefully doesn't happen. Like are you holding hope?
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. As in, he's gonna lose his hair, because then he starts to look like a sick child, which that becomes just really tough. That becomes tough. What thing like that for you matters? Like in the big scope of things, it doesn't, but to you, it does.
Seeing him just with no energy.
Just laying down.
Yeah, he's that's not like him. Hunt's a very joyful boy, and to see him not in that personality, yeah. Just something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Not wanting to eat. He's a big eater. He eats all day, every day.
Yeah, he does.
And for him to say, "I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat," it's hard as a mom to see that.
What was harder, the first news of him having cancer or being re-diagnosed 5 years later?
I think the second time.
Yeah. Why?
He's bigger. He's now voicing what he feels. He's just he'll ask some very deep questions. Like I don't know if you remember, he asked us a question on Monday that he started his treatment. Mm-hmm. And he said, Mom, he said, we're driving home back from an appointment. And he said, Mom, he's like, why can't I just be a normal boy? Mm-hmm. And, 6 years ago, he wasn't asking those things. He wasn't. So I feel like now we have to be prepared to answer those difficult questions. It's like, when does this stop?
What about the video we took?
Oh, yeah.
And we'll decide here after. We'll decide if we'll send it to Paul to include right now in this segment. But him crying and in pain and shaking, and because the chemo's hitting his body, that.
But it was a very powerful moment, because I think sometimes as adults, we expect that adults can feel brokenness. Mm-hmm. But I think Hunt at 6 years old had a breaking moment. Mm-hmm. And we were able to see that firsthand.
And we hadn't seen that before.
We hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
As he's crying and praying, and it was almost as if we were witnesses to a moment he was having with a conversation with God.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. For people going through pain, maybe something similar, maybe not, but just pain that they can't control, what would you tell them about God?
I would tell them that God knows. God sees it. And I'll always remember the words that your dad tells me. It's like, Sonia, don't forget that God loves Hunt.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it to hurt him. As much as it hurts, right? But so I hold on to that and that God is near to the brokenhearted and those who are crushed in spirit. Mm-hmm. So,
do you think you've ever gotten angry at God?
I don't think angry. I think I get more. I was disappointed with the outcome.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good word, disappointed, hon.
Yeah.
Because you're right, you're not angry. Like, nothing has changed with you other than being more broken, but I was really disappointed too.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, God, why are you doing this? Why? Like, I thought we were over this. And I was disappointed too.
Yeah.
I was disappointed too. But that's life, right?
Yeah, it is.
And do you feel strong right now?
I do. I think we have every message, the messages we get.
A ton of messages.
We get so many messages.
Gifts.
Mm-hmm. And somebody at church yesterday, I was talking to Cindy and even Stephanie, and they said, we're praying for you. And I told them, I said, we can feel it.
Yeah.
When we're in that hospital room, or just moments randomly that grief hits you like that just.
When does it hit you the most? Don't lose your train of thought. When does the grief hit you the most?
in the most random moments as I'm washing dishes, or when the house is quiet, or at night when I'm driving, like a worship song, I'm listening to something, and then just, like brokenness is actually a very beautiful thing because it changes everything. It changes the lyrics to a song.
Yeah.
Like it just, they mean something more when you hear a song that God is faithful and that, God hears you. You really learn to embrace those words, and they become like your song. They become your life. So it's as painful as it is, it's also a moment of where you feel God so present, right?
No, I feel God's presence. I feel his strength.
Yeah.
I feel the prayers of people sustaining us.
Right.
I think I'm going to label this the worst week, my worst week ever, because I think the last 2 weeks, not this past week, but the week before, was probably the worst week of my life in terms of what I felt. With when I feel the grief, me, is when, like, you're washing dishes or the house is quiet, is when, like, we're sitting in a hospital room waiting. Right. Or driving down Sierra we go to Kaiser Fontana or Children's Hospital LA, which they both have amazing staffs, right? That's when I feel the grief, when I'm driving and you're at a stop sign and Hunt's like, Dad, what's gonna happen? And then you go wait in the waiting room and you check in and, you sit there. That's, to me, is like, I get anxious, I get irritated, I just get like, and my dad told me, he's like, God is choosing to form you on the benches of hospitals. Right. And chairs of hospitals, right. Which are never made for big men, right?
They're not.
Biggest. Well, I think you have to come back on, and we'll have to talk in a longer format with this because there's so much to go through, right? Mm-hmm. But the longer format again will be the documentary that we're launching in four videos. Biggest lessons you've learned through, just call it Hunt. And then we'll talk Maddie and Emma a little bit, just for a minute each, because they're so beautiful. Biggest lesson from Hunt that you learned.
Biggest lesson.
Yeah.
I would say one of,
that's a hard one.
Tough
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
We're stronger than we think. God works in brokenness. God forms us. I'm in on that. I've said that many times on my episodes. Like, God, if this is the way you want to do it, then I'm in. And then to get hit with his eye removal, right? We didn't even talk about that. But his eye was removed. That was hard. That was really hard. And that was the lowest of the lowest for me until 2 weeks ago.
Right.
That was the lowest of the lowest. So it's we're stronger than we think. Like, God holds us. Now I'm not even thinking about the eye removal. Do you even think about it?
I don't.
Now it's like, okay, as a matter of fact, today we're going to go buy him a new eye.
Yeah.
Or we start the process.
He starts his process, yeah.
So we're going this afternoon. So as the day of this recording. So we're stronger than we think.
Right.
Like, we can handle more. We're resilient. And when we have God, we're even stronger because he holds us in the palm of his hand. That's the biggest lesson I'm learning right now. Your turn.
I would say one of the things I've learned, and I've told you this word a lot, is perspective. Mm-hmm. I think that even in the midst of so much pain and so much unknown, I think God allows you to experience a different perspective. Like, I don't know if of course you remember, but with Hunt, it was like, hey, we're gonna nucleate his eye, but we're saving his life. Mm-hmm. So I know that was very hard for us, and I felt like God gave me a sense of perspective, say, hey, look at the bigger picture.
Oh, that's a good point.
You're so focused on and I think pain does that. Pain allows you to focus on your present. Like, sometimes you can't even think on tomorrow. And I think God sometimes wants to broaden our perspective and say, hey, go through it. There's something on the other end.
That is such a good point.
Right? Like, so I think that's one of the things that Hunt's journey has taught me, is just to wait on the Lord, and we are going to get through it.
Yeah, God knows tomorrow already. Yeah. He's already in tomorrow. Right. That's such a good point, Hunt. I really, really like that. I think that's going to bless somebody. Paul, that's going to bless somebody, huh? I think it's going to bless somebody. Okay. Do you feel like I'm rushing? Am I rushing you a little bit?
No, you have a good pace.
Yeah, we have a good pace. Okay. We're good at this, huh? Like together. Not like good at podcasts. We're just good together, right? Okay, so Maddie, let's talk Maddie. Just tell whoever's watching or listening, just Maddie. Maddie's our 10-year-old daughter, our oldest. Just Maddie.
Maddie is a very quiet, gentle spirit. She's very observant. She's a young girl of few words, but she'll sit in the room and analyze everything. And she's just very analytical.
She's perfect.
Yeah.
She's perfect.
She's very analytical. She knows when something's wrong. She'll ask. She'll ask those questions like, "What's wrong? What happened? Are you okay?" And she's just very quiet and
she's perfect.
She's
a guitar.
Gift. Yeah, she plays the guitar.
Straight A's. It's cool.
Yeah.
And we're starting to talk about baptism. Not yet, but it's starting to talk, right?
Yeah.
Emma.
Emma is a fireball.
Emma.
Emma's Joy. Her middle name is Joy, and she really is. She loves the kitchen. She loves to cook.
Oh.
She gives us incredible foot massages.
Oh my goodness, she's.
But she's just very motherly.
Beautiful.
When Hunt gets home from the hospital, she'll prep a little bed upstairs on the couch and give him his water and his blanket. And she's very, very motherly.
Isn't she amazing?
She is.
She plays the piano?
She plays the piano.
Yeah, we have our music room back here and she plays.
And she plays it high.
She turns the volume all the way up. She makes sure.
That the neighbors hear it.
Also straight A student, right?
Yeah, she's really smart.
Emma is so amazing. Okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to say some words and you respond to them. Your response doesn't have to be long or short. It can be either. So I'm going to say a word and then you just tell me exactly what you're thinking, but don't feel like your response has to be short.
Okay.
Okay. Fountain of Truth San Diego.
Home.
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, home. Beautiful, right? 1%.
An unexpected birth.
Okay. Retinoblastoma.
Pain.
Pain.
Yeah.
God.
Everything I need.
Your sister Diana.
Amazing.
Your brother Jerry.
Very caring and family oriented.
Okay. Karate.
Haya.
I thought she was going to say something very spiritual, very like part of our life. Just how, yeah. Okay. James Bond.
My husband.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. My brother, Sammy.
Bears. Wisdom.
Okay.
Yeah, I think of wisdom.
I'm trying to contemplate how much we keep going on this game. You want to keep going?
Give me 2 more.
2 more. Okay. 2 more. My mom.
Your mom is
A gift.
a gift and one of the strongest women I've ever met.
Okay.
And her smile is contagious.
Okay. Final one. Pain. The word pain.
Pain, I would say it's a present season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do one more.
Yeah.
My sister. Just because she's so pivotal in all this journey with us. Her name is Missy.
Missy is a straight shooter.
She is a gangster from the streets of Harupa Valley.
But Missy loves, and when she loves with everything that she has. She's a great auntie.
Yeah. Okay. So will you promise me that you'll come on for another episode?
Yeah, I'll check my calendar.
You'll check your calendar and see.
Check my availability.
This documentary we're going to do with Hunt's going to be nice, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I love you.
Love you too.
With all my heart.
Me too.
So that's it. This is just a little bit of our life. Sonia, myself, life. I hope it's brought in some type of inspiration, joy, insight to you. What my wife said was so powerful in terms of perspective. I'm telling you, that has wrecked me, and you'll probably see some posts on that because that has really gotten to me. So remember, get 1% better every single day. No excuses, just make progress. I believe it should be spiritual, emotional, and physical. And if you start with the spiritual, especially Jesus Christ, I think life changes completely. So that's it. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.